Teabag shucker.
His name is Isaac, and he loved teabag.
He would be the shelf teabagger. Put it in his mouth, put it in his mouth, put it in his mouth, put it in his mouth.
Teabag Central with Isaac. Yeah.
Teabag sucker. Put it in his mouth, put it in his mouth, put it in his mouth.
It's recording now, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
We gotta explain. All right, so right now.
This is a good story, though. This is funny.
So basically, we just made ourselves some tea right before we started recording, and I don't know. Ever since this one story, we were just adjusting the tea. You start singing this little song, and basically what happened was back in early days of college, there's this one guy named Isaac who would always he was off. He was kind of one of those nerdy guys who was kind of off, and he would always say incredibly rude things, not trying to be rude, but he was just that off, and he's almost kind of saw how everyone just kind of busted each other's balls jokingly, but he didn't really know how to do it, so he'd almost take it too far with people he didn't know.
And he wasn't off like special ed. He was just socially awkward, I think is the key word, maybe, or phrase.
Exactly. And he was, for instance, he'd say something like, I don't know, at the time I was seeing this one girl, he's just like, you have a girlfriend? Like, yeah, I have a girlfriend. Like, that surprises me. And this is like a total D&D kind of all right, dude, whatever. But anyway, there's one time, so that's just the idea the guy was kind of talking about here. But it feels kind of weird. We're getting judged by the D&D guy who goes to Celtic fairs. Like, might I add,
Yeah.
Your stereotypical kind of nerd, really your old school pocket protector nerd,
Yeah, where he just sits and tries to quote poetry and shit like that. But no, one time we were sitting there, and everybody's fucking editing on their computers, not paying any attention but except for their own project. And all we hear in the background is somebody goes, Isaac, are you sucking on that tea bag? Literally, all of us in the class, which is about 5 people, fucking spin around in their computer chairs and go, look at him going the fuck?
And he literally had a tea bag, for dipping your tea, in his mouth going... So now, every once in a while, not frequently, but it just kind of happens, when we're just, preparing our tea, sounds so stupid and so fucking... sounds so gay, literally, just one of us tea bagging eyes, Just start this little...
Tea bag some shelf.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It was weird, but
it's funny to 4 people, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know.
Who are there?
It's what's you ask yourself this question. Have you ever seen somebody just start sucking on a tea bag fucking in public and shit?
And no, not in a porn way, not in a dirty way either.
No, just a regular tea bag. It's just, but yeah, when you hear that, Isaac, are you sucking on a tea bag? I don't know what we thought we were going to see when we turned around. If we were going to turn around, there's going to be some dude standing up there fucking oh, God,
slapping it against his face or something.
Oh, why'd you bring that guy in here?
Well, he's part of my poetry club, you see.
This is what our teacher told us to do. This guy was kind of so fucking nerdy. His dad owned a card shop and comics, even though it seemed like the comic book collection he had was literally his own that he just happened to sell. It felt like you were going into a yard sale.
Wasn't that a separate guy? I thought that was 2 separate guys.
Yeah, that was the Broadsword place.
That was the Broadsword? No, eventually they bought that place, became a sword shop, but that was pretty short-lived.
Yeah, well, it had swords. It was just it literally looked like a nerd fucking cleaned out his basement. It's here's my comics, my cards, my swords, and my blow-up dolls. Because nothing in there was really brand new.
And a mountain used. I don't know where the fuck people find this, but it was a bunch of promos for movies. There's some cardboard stand-ups, but then there'd be a Mountain Dew stand-up of Obi-Wan Kenobi for when Phantom Menace came out,
Yeah.
Weird ass shit like that.
So, but it didn't look, nothing in there was new. Well, I guess there's some things that are new, but most things in there were not new. And it just literally looked like you were kind of walking somebody's storage unit that was somewhat set up, and then there'd be a bunch of sweaty guys playing Magic in the corner or upstairs, wherever that was. I bought a couple good things there. I bought my Fatal Fury, the movie VHS there.
I got my Akira on DVD there.
So yeah, there was nice stuff there. I bought some Star Wars comics.
I guess we're kicking this thing down, saying, yeah, there's no comic book stores.
I wish it was there though. I kid you not, I do wish it was there.
Yeah.
But I am also going to just point out its flaws too. This might be the reason why it failed. But yeah.
Then we're not here to talk about Isaac and his teabagging.
No, we're going to sit down, and even though I know it's a little bit late in the year, but it's still fucking January, so here's what we're going to do.
It's been a little bit, first we should say there's been a little bit of a delay in the podcast, just given technical difficulties with the Skype, some personal stuff that looks like things are going better now. And then on top of that, we actually just kind of lucked out. Spencer just happened to be in town, so we're literally recording this in his hotel room right now.
Yeah. So we're here at good old Livermore, fucking California, talking about the best movies of 2014. And there was a lot of fucking good movies. I saw a fucking comment on, not all those, some of those ones I thought were different, but I saw a comment online where somebody's like, yeah, there really just wasn't very many video games or movies that came out this year that were that good. And I was like, the fuck? I thought there was a ton of great, like, 4 out of 4 prime example movies. Hell, same with video games, too. I thought there was a bunch of damn good games, too. But movie-wise, there's easily over 10, you know. We were going to do our top 10 kind of list, and I was like, fuck, there's probably, like, at least 15, 20. You know, top 10 maybe really good ones and about 10, honorable mentions.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of movies. I'm looking at your list. I forgot we were doing the podcast on this today, so I'm just looking at your list. Like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, there's a lot of good movies that did come out this year.
But, that list is, probably like 30 movies on there. I just kind of wrote down every single one that was pretty darn good or ones that I need to see.
I can only think of like 2 movies I walked out of going, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there was some, but, let's start with, I think the beginning of the year, this is probably the first really good movie we saw, was the Lego Movie.
Lego Movie was definitely one of my favorite movies of the year. It was just all around funny. I just think it just had that, it was kind of like the perfect way to use licensing, I think, for a movie. Because usually a lot of times it just feels like, okay, it's just pouring itself out there. But this actually utilized it in a really funny way. It was very creative. Plus, it's just, when you say, oh yeah, the Lego Movie, it just seems kind of like, it sounds so fucking stupid. Because you've seen some of the, my nephew would watch some of those cartoons they have on Cartoon Network, and they were bad. They're not really that entertaining. They're fucking bad. So I thought that's what we were getting for this. But the Lego Movie itself, fucking fantastic.
I know, they just went out of their way to make such a good movie. And it's funny, because when I would try to tell people about the movie, like, dude, you've got to see the Lego Movie. They would always give you that look, like, a Lego Movie? Are you fucking serious?
That's what people always say, but when they watch it,
most of the people watch it, they turn around. The only people, maybe like adults, like older adults, parents' age adults and up, that might be the point where it might be a little hard to take in.
I'm going to say like parents probably like, I'm going to say like late 40s and up. Like or mid 40s and up, mid 40s.
Yeah, I'm gonna say like maybe 40s and up. I mean, I know Legos kind of goes back kind of far, but
something that pissed me off though about this. And we try to stay positive on this podcast. And I don't really take these all that seriously, but Kevin Smith left a comment on Twitter the other day and said like it was something to the effect of like millions of years from now, our descendants will look upon us in shame and wonder how did these monkeys not nominate Lego Movie for Best Animated Picture?
Yeah, well, what the hell got nominated?
I have no idea, but the fact that Lego was given, I mean, I don't know about this year, but given things that came out, things were nominated previous years, and Lego not nominated.
Yeah, the thing about Lego though is, it doesn't have it's a fucking awesome movie, but it really doesn't have like those Academy Awards type demographic audience. I feel.
Well, I don't feel that like something like a lot of the movies that Despicable Me type stuff does either.
Did that win awards?
Well, I think it was nominated. I don't know if it won, but I mean it was nominated for Best Animated Picture. I'm just saying a lot of times I think it just, if you're like one of like probably, if you're DreamWorks or Pixar, chances are your movie's going to be in the best picture. Whether it wins or not, I don't know, but it's going to be at least nominated because you're one of the big two, and how many you got to pick from that year? You're a respected studio.
Well, yeah, and the worst part too is they only pick from mostly those two studios. They very rarely ever even go outside the box.
I want to say last year it was actually the Miyazaki movie one. Maybe I'm wrong there. I want to say last year was the Miyazaki
Which
movie.
I consider that movie, I have it on my list for this year because here's the thing. One, it didn't come out in theaters till, at least in Japan, yes, it came out in theaters last year, but in the U.S., other than at big film festivals, it didn't come out in theaters till...
The Wind Rises or something?
Yeah, The Wind Rises till about April, and it didn't come out on DVD till November. So to me, that's a fucking 2014 movie.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I actually got it. It's fucking amazing.
Okay.
One of the top 5 best Miyazaki movies, I probably have to say.
That's on my I want to see
And it's
list.
also a PG-13 one, so it's the second
Really?
PG-13 one out there.
Okay.
And it's not PG-13 for violence or anything like that. I think it's just PG-13. I couldn't really tell you why. Just maybe because it's more of an adult-like story. Yeah, maybe it just got some more bigger issues. It's kind of cool though because the whole story is about, it's sort of this somewhat fantasy version of the guy that created the Japanese Zero planes for World War II. Mm-hmm. So this guy's just designing planes, and then it's also got his buddies, the guy that designed the bombers for Japan in World War II. Mm-hmm. And as it goes on, he has these dreams where he talks to this famous Italian plane designer who made planes from like the 10s all the way on up.
He likes a lot of the historical like fantasy stuff, like Porco Rosso and all that.
Yeah, well, and it's not like it's really when I say fantasy, it's only fantasy because he has like these dreams, but I guess that's technically not really fantasy because we'd have dreams about all sorts of stuff. There's nothing like too whimsical, but I know the story does kind of go in its own way. It's not like a total like biopic, let's just say that.
Okay.
It's sort of like it uses this guy like he's a fictional character, but then sort of creates a story around him too. Mm-hmm. Kind of a weird. It seems like a strange thing to do, but no, it's fantastic, you know. And then he finds this kind of girl, and then she's got a disease. What's the one that the guy in Tombstone, fucking
is it tuberculosis?
Doc? Yeah, tuberculosis. She's got that. So it's got that she has that, and then she has to go back, and then it's kind of got dramatic stuff up there, and then, you know, the whole time he's working on these planes, and it kind of shows his progress from Japan, starting off with these kind of just cheap, you know, almost like third world planes, so they might call it, and then they go over to Nazi Germany, and they get to study a bunch of the planes there, and then they come back, and they make, you know, even better planes than, you know, both Germany, America, and so on. But it doesn't show any war scenes or anything like that, too. It just focuses on almost like the craftsmanship of the plane. And then it just sort of this guy's life and the things he goes through. Oh, it's fantastic, though. And as I said, I can say I call it a 2014 movie because, as I said, it came out in theaters in, you know, April here in the U.S. and then it didn't come out on DVD till November. So the movie might have been done in 2013, but we didn't get it till then. So because obviously, how was I going to put it on my 2013 list?
Yeah. Quick question regarding that movie, real quick. And this isn't me being like, this isn't American coming out. I'm just curious. Does the movie kind of, because now a lot of times whenever like Japanese do movies about World War II, even if it's not focusing from a Japanese perspective, they'll still give it like they'll still present it in a way of like, yeah, we had heart, we had soul, but ultimately we kind of did some fucked up shit. Does the movie have that, or is it more just focusing on the guy's life?
It doesn't really have that, just more focused on this guy's life. It's one of those movies, because when I was watching it, I didn't really know much about it. I just knew Wind Rises, Miyazaki, I'm fucking there.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything else. So as I was watching, I was like, about like maybe a half an hour into the movie or 45 minutes, I was like, is this the guy who fucking creates like the zeros and whatnot? I'm like, maybe that's what this movie's about. Like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, I didn't even know the movie's about planes. I just, Wind Rises, whatever, like that. In a Miyazaki film, that could be anything.
Could have been about like a fucking wind catcher or whatever. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, so like, God knows what that movie is. So going into it, and then it goes on like, oh fuck, that's what it is and stuff, and then just goes through. But it's cool. It's in a sense, it's a war movie without ever showing war.
Was it brought over by Disney by chance?
Yeah, Disney like kind of has all the foreign rights to those movies.
So it was Disney.
Well, foreign rights.
Well, for was it on the Disney home video label?
Yeah.
That surprises me that they would do. I mean, I understand that they all got respect for Studio Ghibli. I'm totally fine with it being from the perspective of the Japanese during World War II. But that surprises me that Disney would do that because they're all like, we're all American family.
Well, there's that Grave of the Fireflies movie too that's kind of in that similar vein, except for this one's like.
But that's like
sad.
that's more like a couple of children just trying to survive in the war. That's like civilian stuff. So
yeah, but I mean, like, 'cause that movie though has the thing where like when it shows like the Americans bombing like Japan, it's almost like that's just a scary because you never see any of the Americans. You just see these like dark planes come over and bombs dropping and people fucking dying and them carrying like their dead bodies off. So it makes like the America look kind of like the scary enemy from above.
And that makes sense. No, I totally understand.
I think the whole point is it's supposed to be like
don't take this as me being like we're Americans, suck it up. Why are you saying what you're feeling? Don't take it as that. I'm just surprised Disney was okay with that. You know.
Well, as I said, it doesn't really come across. It doesn't have that feel like it's like pro. Like just like zero pro. I guess at first I was like, is I gonna fucking show Pearl Harbor? Like, is that what this movie's gonna lead into?
Hey, we won! That's the end.
Just cuts right there at like 1941. Nothing more happened after that. Pull the cameras back now.
Just freeze frame on the planes with this victorious music heading to Pearl Harbor.
No, what it really does is it cuts like right before the war, or at least the Japanese kind of section, and then it goes 10 years ahead, and then he has one more conversation with the Italian guy, and he talks about, he's like, well, I made, the zeros, even though they call them something a little bit different in Japan. In America, it's just called the zero.
They can't pronounce it.
They can't pronounce it. It's actually probably, I was drawing a blank on it, but like, he has one more conversation with the Italian guy. He's like, well, I made all these planes, but not a single one came back. And the Italian guy tries to tell me, he's like, well, it's not necessarily about the plane's coming back, it's like it's them taking flight because a plane's supposed to be in the air. So if it goes down in the air, it had its full dream, its full like respect. He says it better than this, but like the air is where the plane needs to be delivered.
That's very beautiful. Tell that's the guy in the fucking plane. They're like, oh fuck, oh fuck,
oh! I need to know what to do it is. Oh fuck. But no, I kid you not.
No, seriously though, yeah.
I would say that's in my if we're making like a top 5 list of all these movies, that would definitely actually be in my top 5 out of all the movies I've seen this year.
I have to check that. I wanted to see that one. If you
come by, but if you don't see it like in time, come by and you'll watch it.
I'll have to see it's on Netflix. I finally got a Netflix subscription. How about that?
So yeah, sometimes it takes a while for that to get on Netflix.
Evolution.
But it is fucking good, and I will say I think it's also in the top 5 best Miyazaki films. I've only really watched it once since I got it, but that damn good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to keep my eye out for that one. Another one, we talked about this one a little bit, but we talked about it on the podcast, which there's one we had Sam and Caden on, and that was a good conversation. They were both great, but
we had kind of a shitty internet connection that day, or a computer connection, something like that.
The connection was so fucked. I don't blame if nobody like sat through that whole thing, because it was a long one and the audio was so fucked. But on that one, we talked about Snowpiercer.
Which, if I had to say there was a top movie of the year, it is Snowpiercer.
That's my favorite movie of the year. Granted, that's like a 2013 movie for Korea, but for us, 2014.
Yeah, once again, it's like, this is how I look at it. If I wasn't able to see it till, this 2000, or last year by now, but 2014, then it's a 2014 movie. I don't care.
I just love that movie because it's such a smart movie because, it's just between you and me, so we could probably spoil some stuff. We don't want to spoil it for Sam or Caden when we were talking about it, but
yeah.
It was one of those things like that movie. I just love that it was a science fiction movie that was willing to be kind of fucked up and kind of dark, because a lot of times science fiction, it has to hold back a little bit. And I like this one was one that was willing to be a little bit more intense, a little bit more dramatic. And what was really cool about it is the fact they're actually the characters we like and idolize throughout the movie. They're willing to kind of make them seem like in an understandable way, make them seem weaker, or kind of like we put like our faith in the wrong people sometimes. You know what I mean? Which is something that a lot of movies don't do a lot. It's like, this is the guy we like, so he's going to do some things right the whole way. And then at the end you find out like,
he did mess up when he was younger and do a lot of horrible things.
And plus, I mean, he makes up for it at the very end. But still, it's one of those things that kind of like, everything in that movie hits, because there's like there's like everything, like so many movies, there are these moments where they just give you some useless information, and maybe you don't know how exactly, but you know for a fact in some way that's coming back around.
Yeah.
That movie, there's a lot of those moments, but they throw them out there so frequently, and they throw them in there so naturally, because other movies, it's blatantly obvious this is coming back. That movie, most of the time, it wasn't that obvious that I was coming back.
Well, and when they also do things too where they like sort of confuse you, where you think it's going to be something else, and then you just kind of go, oh, that must be what it is. Perfect example is when the guy gets his arm stuck in the hole outside the train, which we never really explained what this movie is, just in case anybody didn't know. It's in the future. A company creates this device to cool down the Earth from global warming. It fucks up, freezes the entire planet. Some other dude who really fucking loved trains knew this was coming, so he made this humongous train track that goes all the way around the world, takes exactly 1 year to go around. A little too perfect, I think. Yeah. But whatever. And then he makes it so it's fully stable. It can, run by itself. It feeds itself as the train and the people on board. The train's like,
the train is people.
Seymour, feed me. Oh, no.
You just have like a big like Jim Henson Muppet like engine.
Train. It's just like it looks like a dolphin almost.
If that was the original ending, like the Korean dude directed the movie, like this is what I really want. I really want this right here. It's just like
I like to live up a horse.
I really want to make a Jim Henson movie. Chris Evans just fighting a big full engine
dolphin like train.
Feed me Chris Evans. Mm-hmm.
Or really be like Ed Harris. That's why it would be the voice like, okay, I'll feed you, train. Here, take a small child, eat this.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But so that's like the premise of the movie. But going back, okay, this guy, he does, what does he do wrong exactly? He chucks a shoe, is that what he does?
They took his kid. But first off, we should say, so they have all these people on this train, and you got all the poor in the back, all the rich in the front. And basically the poor mainly just serve the rich.
But you don't really know how at the beginning. You're just like, you're almost at the beginning, you're like, why the fuck did they even keep these guys around? Like,
yeah. And then what ends up happening, so basically, and every so often, they'll kind of go back, the enforcers of the front of the train will come back, and they'll take whoever they need for whatever reason. They don't say why. Like, oh, that's my kid. Yeah, he's coming with us. Why? Fuck you, that's why. You know? And basically what ends up happening is they take, there's the lady who is in, I never saw the movie, but she's the big black lady who is in The Help, and she's in a bunch of other stuff recently, but she's getting pretty big. And then there is like this British guy with bright red hair. His kid gets taken too. And what ends up happening is he ends up taking his shoe off and chucks it at the lady who like takes his kid. And it's like the small little things like this. Usually, and like, you know, hits this lady in the side of the head. She's like this bigger lady. She's kind of pretty, but she's a bigger lady. And it hits her, and she has like some blood running down her face. And usually be like, kill that motherfucker. But she's like very calm, like, no, it's not a big deal. Literally licks the blood off her hand, grabs the kid, and just kind of walks away.
Keeps going.
He'll get it. He'll get what's coming. I'm not going to even stress this shit, you know? It's like, when I say that, it doesn't sound like a big deal. But when you see it, it's actually kind of very, like, just the performance, just the way they shoot it, it just kind of makes it that sting that much more like, oh, something fucked up's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then what ends up happening is, like you said, they stick his arm out there, they time it, they pull it out, it's just this solid brick of ice. They smash it with a hammer, while this one lady is given, Tilda Swinton's given this hate speech, basically. Like, you're the bottom tier, we're the top of the tier, fuck you, learn your place. And then all these other guys with missing limbs, are like missing arms and legs, that have like coat racks for hands or for arms or whatever, come limping out.
And you just assume this whole time, you're like, oh, fuck, these guys must have messed up a bunch of times. And then you learn way down the line that that's actually not how they lost their limbs. And I think that's just so fucking badass that there was a way different way they went about it. And all these curves. But, you know, one thing I love about the movie, too, is, one, I already love fucking any movie that takes place in the winter. I don't know what it is. I love snow. Put snow in a video game. It's badass. Put it in a movie. I love it. I also like trains. I don't care. Whenever it's in a 007 movie and they happen to be in a train, that's sometimes one of the best parts of the movies. This movie, all fucking trains, all snow. Everything I want in one.
Starring Captain America.
So here's the thing. You get this cool progression of, like, you don't know what's coming next. They're going up from the back of the train to the front, so you get to see each one of these cars along the way. You see a humongous aquarium. You see a room full of all these plants. You see, like, a children's school room. You see these rich people's, like, kind of like barbershops and tailors.
Like a club.
And you just don't know what's coming next. It's literally one of those movies you can say, I have no idea what's coming next.
Mm-hmm. And the thing at the end, though, because, I mean, we talked about this movie a couple times. I think most people probably listening to us probably seen the movie by this point, you know?
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it's one of those movies that's still
it's on Netflix by this point. So I think most people have probably heard it. So
well, yeah, most people. I think if you want to see it, but it's still one of those ones because there's people I keep telling about and they never heard of it yet. It's still kind of a gem movie. And I think it's due to the fact it got real since it didn't get that like no.
It was gonna be kind of like the Weinstein Company's like big summer blockbuster,
but once they pulled it back.
Well, what happened is because like Harvey Weinstein wanted to chop 20 minutes off the movie and make it less like dark at the ending. And then the director's like, what the fuck? And asked like all the fans of the movie to stick up for it. And everybody just kind of like stuck up for it. Harvey Weinstein, like, you know, he's smart, but being the fucking dick he is, was just kind of like, well, I don't give a shit if I already paid for it. We'll release it. We'll release it the way you want it. We're just not going to do any advertising for it. Fuck you. And give it a limited release. You know, just the sting. It's just like, you just lost more money, dude. Fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But then, like, the ending, though, is, like, I'll make this quick, though. I love that part where, like, they reveal that basically the way the guys were losing their limbs was they were literally chopping off their own arms because people were literally attacking each other to eat them.
Because, like, for the first couple months when the poor people got on the track, they just locked them in the back. And for, like, 3 or 4 months, they didn't feed them. They were just stuck back there. So they started, like, eating each other and eating, like, the kids.
And like, hearing, like, Chris Evans say it. There's this part because he just full on. He doesn't like break down like a bitch, but I mean he kind of breaks down at the end, kind of understandably, and just says like, "What do I hate most about myself?" He says like, "I know what people taste like." And you're like, "Oh."
And he's like, and children taste the best.
And you're just like, Captain America ate babies. Fuck. You know, shit just got real. And his performance right there, and he explains why and how and all these little things from earlier just all connect right there, because at some point you see he has a scar in his arm. You're like, whatever. And he says like, I tried one time, people started just cutting off their limbs saying, don't eat the baby, eat my arm. They cut off their arm, they cut off their leg, whatever. He says, I couldn't do it. He's like,
I tried and I just couldn't do it.
And he had like a scar on his arm right there. Not like probably 10 minutes later, there's this very crucial scene, and he has to make a call. He has to basically loses his arm, the very arm he couldn't cut off for this moment.
To save this little
child. To save this kid, yeah. So it's like, it's just a movie that just connects perfectly. That's we probably should have saved it for the last, but that's probably my favorite movie of the year.
Yeah, I know. It's like, that's a movie I feel like we could sit down and talk for another like 15 minutes on all the cool stuff on here. But yeah, but we should probably cut there. That movie's the most badass movie I can think of that came out in 2014. If you have yet to see it, go fucking check it out. I kid you not. There is nothing cooler than this movie out there. Whatever the fucking Academy Awards and Golden Globes tell you, they're fucking lying to you. We tell it straight here on the Old Man Orange podcast. No fucking bitching around. We put the movies that deserve to get the fucking awards. God damn it, right here, right on the front. And that's the bottom line.
Getting patriotic on this shit.
But that's it. I kid you not. Yeah, no matter what anybody tells you, Snowpiercer is fucking better than almost anything else, unless it's a personal preference.
Yeah.
But, you know what? This is another movie that we... Like, I talked about with you back in the day, but you just said you just recently saw it, but Sabotage.
Oh, Sabotage is badass.
And I really like Sabotage. And I know that's a movie that won't get on anybody's top 10 list of this year, except for Arnold fans. But god damn it, was that one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's best movies in a while.
Didn't that get good reviews, though?
It got good reviews.
Yeah.
Some people didn't like it, though. I will say, it kind of got like that one, like, 2 people liked it, 1 person didn't care for it.
Well, it would be one of those things, like, I noticed about the movie because I didn't really know what to inspect entirely. But when I was, because it was kind of like, it wasn't like a big action throughout the whole way.
It's a nice build.
It was a little bit of like, kind of like a cop drama. But I think the thing about it is the action and the violence and the gore is so intense. And plus, it's a ballsy as fuck movie. I'm surprised they went to certain areas when the wife got shot in the head and like, because I'll say this, that movie. I mean, when I saw the trailer, I'm like, okay, Arnold action, cool, I'm there.
Yeah, police, you know.
But then when like they misadvertise, it's like they took the money, so now they got to go save his wife. It's like, no, that's not the case. The wife is already fucking dead.
Yeah,
she's been dead for like 8 months. This shit's done. And then that's just, so now it's just, and I kind of like that. Because I'll say this about the movie. Because I just saw it recently, and I loved it. I want to get that movie on Blu-ray. Something about it is, I'm not sure if this is intentional on how you feel about that whole SWAT team. They kind of play it off at first, like, these are just the misfits, man. These are beautiful, scarred people who just who the rest of the world doesn't get, man. And there are moments where I'm just like, I get what they're trying to say, but a lot of them just seem like bros at Applebee's.
Yeah. They do have the kind of like the bro down, like, we got tattoos, we drink beer, fucking hang out.
We just filmed the new Godsmack video. You know, that's what a lot of them look like.
Yeah, they have that feel, but then you almost get to really like dive into these characters.
And then go ahead, yeah.
And I was saying, you know, David Ayer is a really good director. He's doing the Suicide Squad movie, so that's badass.
Yeah.
But you know, these characters that you kind of look at, you know, and even if they were just generic bro down characters, you know, you would still probably accept it with just the action and all that stuff. You're like, whatever, it's an action movie, I'll take it. But they go deeper than that. That's the cool part.
What I like about that, though, is aside from it going kind of deeper, it kind of goes off to more of this thing like, well, they do get a little deeper, but more than anything, they're like really, it seemed kind of like it pulled out at the last minute. Like, I thought it almost did the reverse thing, where it's kind of like, we're supposed to like them because they are like the bros, they are the badasses, or whatever. That's I wonder if that's... we were doing this in the hotel room. We were yelling earlier. I don't know if people...
We were doing animation voices, and I was just like...
trying to record for the next episode, so I don't know if people were trying to... We're just screaming shit like in like a...
And Spunkles the Rabbit fucking voices and stuff. So...
I'm not sure if they're yelling at us next door to like, stop fucking talking so much, but whatever.
I'm literally waiting for at some point like the cops to knock on the door and be like, "Oh, you fucking kids in here, we knew you didn't look like the right people for..." No. And they just come in, it's like, what the fuck? There's 2 guys sitting around a microphone? Like, I always assume that when cops busted, this always could work in the Sabotage way, when somebody busted, you assume you're going to see, like, oh, fuck, there's going to be this raging party inside there. And then when you walk in and you just see, like, 2 guys sitting there, like, in front of a TV or something, playing video games, or in front of, like, a microphone talking, and they just probably go, the fuck?
This is a fucking letdown.
Yeah, what the hell? They probably go, who the fuck called us in on this? There's probably somebody dying in the street now because somebody complained.
Yeah. Did you hear a knock, Laura?
No, it wasn't a knock.
Okay.
But fucking...
Anyway, so...
Sabotage.
Well, at first I thought that was kind of like one of those things like the movie was be like, well, you're supposed to like these guys. They're a bunch of just misfits and bros and all that, but you're supposed to like them. But as it went on, though, this kind of made me like them more. The fact is, oh wait, no, there's more to them than that, but they're all really fucked up. Most of them really aren't that great of people, and because they all turn on each other pretty quickly, they all have their problems. There's a few of them that actually are good, who are just damaged, but then you realize a couple of them, no, they're just really fucked up people, and they just need an excuse to kill. And I think that's kind of like a very interesting thing, other than doing the typical. I'm not saying that like that's always the case, but I think it's an interesting thing to do.
It's a different take.
Rather than the typical, like, no, man, society just has to understand them. I think it is like, no, these guys are just, they're all kind of fucked in the head. And Arnold and maybe 2, 3 of them have, like, a firm head on their shoulders, or they just have a little damage.
But even Arnold, too, you kind of learn, too. It's like
he's a little fucked up, too.
Yeah, because the whole point is he almost doesn't care about the team as much, because the whole point is he needs this money to go get revenge for the people that killed his wife and daughter or son.
They killed both of them. His wife
was there a daughter?
Was there a son or a daughter? His wife and his son. They killed both his wife and his son. And I almost assumed for a second, it was kind of like, I mean, you could just kind of make a dark movie and just kind of like present it in a way that just like, oh, you're just trying too hard. This one, I think everything about it, even how dark it was, that kind of helped it, because I kept on assuming it was going to lighten up, but it didn't. And on top of that, but it presented in such a cool way. And plus, you're used to seeing Arnold being the true blue guy, with the exception of like the Terminator or Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, Mr. Freeze, I don't
know.
He
was true blue.
That's probably
was very blue. You know what I meant, though.
Yeah, that's what you mean.
You know what I mean, but he was much more of like the. I think someone's fucking very angrily next door. Anyway.
No, because it's here.
Oh, okay.
That's somewhere else.
Sorry, folks, pulling the curtain back for a minute. Anyway, no, but that right there was one of those things like, what was I saying? It was one of those things where, where I think that even he had trouble. And the very end, you were right, the very end was like the best part of the movie, when it just turns into a Western.
It literally is like a modern day Western. Arnold Schwarzenegger goes to Mexico, he finds the people that got or killed his wife and daughter or son, and then fucking gets revenge.
And the thing is, though, it's like, okay, he doesn't just get revenge and just leave like a certain Arnold movie. It's a total Western ending. He gets shot up, and he's dying, and he's kind of like, well, that's that. And just takes
a stogie.
And, like, starts taking shots in this bar. He just shot up, just waiting to die.
Yeah.
And that is a Western as fuck ending. And I love that movie. That was one of his best movies. I mean, I know he's only had a handful of movies in recent years, but I think that's my favorite one he's done so far.
Really?
In his recent years.
Really, since he came back, he came back with a vengeance, because The Last Stand, fucking amazing. The one with Stallone,
Escape Plan,
another amazing movie. And then Sabotage, he's just on a badass run of just fantastic pictures.
I think now, because, I mean, even though we like 80s action films with Arnold and Stallone and those kind of guys, I think now, I mean, one thing, even though they were violent back then, I think that tell me if this makes any sense. We can still, they're still violent, but movies could be almost more darker now. They're not as violent, but they're darker. You know what I mean? And I think that's this good combination. We got like these 80s style action movies, but like as far as like morally and like morally and plot wise, they seem like darker movies these days.
Well, that too, and then back in the day, it's almost like it was hard to find a really good violent movie. Like when I was a kid, I was always looking for that movie that was going to be really violent. And I remember, like, as far as Arnold movies go, it was Total Recall was the one that's probably the closest, being one of the most violent ones he has. Where nowadays, the upside in general, except we've kind of come with a backlash of PG-13 movies in recent, about the last year or so, is that we're pretty much almost guaranteed good violence. Though it's like every movie that's like a rated R action movie, it's already good, could be good violence, unless we get maybe a Die Hard 5. Or what was that? Jason Statham.
I forgot about Die Hard 5 till recently. Parker.
Yeah, Parker. That
has like 4 on Netflix. 4.5 on. I don't know how.
What the fuck? Okay, now if it's the one of Mel Gibson in it,
it's the Jason Statham one.
But not the Parker like the other character one. But still, here on Sabotage, there's this guy on Amazon on the reviews. It sounds like fucking like Amazon, like it's a Facebook, but before that movie came out, I was just looking out when the date was gonna come, when it was gonna come on DVD. And this guy was going like, oh, dude, I just got this early release on Blu-ray and whatnot. There's a 3-hour cut on it. And that I already love the movie in its theatrical run, which is like only like an hour and 50 minutes or maybe 2 hours. He's like, but dude, this extra like hour, like plus, it just makes the movie like a pure amazing movie. So he talks so highly about this. And I was trying to like really get some information on this. Like is there actually like a 3-hour long cut and whatnot? And I even asked the Arnold fans and all that stuff too, and they didn't really know what was about with that. I was like, is this guy just like fucking like spinning our tires here? Like, who is this guy? Like, why would this guy just go ballsy and just explain this? And then I heard it somewhere else too, but it was hard to track it down. And then I know when the Blu-ray came out, it was like they didn't have like the
3-hour cut.
No, they had the regular one, and then they had some deleted scenes, which added some about maybe 10 or 15 minutes. But still, there's 45 minutes missing that like I still want to know what it is. And they add some kind of neat scenes. They're more kind of like alternative takes, but they are still pretty cool. I'll save those till once you see them because they're worth watching just to be surprised. But
I just the gore like to the level of like when they open the fridge, the one guy's in there with the stabbed neck, just blood pours out of the fridge.
Yeah.
And then there's the guy who's literally hanging from the ceiling with his organs hanging out.
Yeah.
Like, it went to a place I was not expecting
You're
it
like,
to
whoa,
go.
what the fuck?
The fucked up thing is you find out when it's like what teammates actually were doing this shit.
And the guy gets hit by the train in like this motorhome.
Oh yeah.
But it's like I hope at some point though they release that 3-hour long version because I already love the movie so much as is. So if this guy who got Mr. fucking I went to Universal Studios and picked up the early copy or wherever this movie was made, if this exists, I really want to see it hopefully soon. And hopefully by that standard, maybe they'll release that extended cut of not End of Days, but Collateral Damage.
You think they would, but
with all those scenes that Arnold Schwarzenegger talked about in his autobiography that are missing out of there. That the only reason they cut them out was because of 9/11.
Which always sucks when that kind of shit happens.
But let's go to another movie, since Sabotage is so amazing too. We already got this list of fantastic movies. We almost got 5 movies that you could pretty much walk home and be like, oh, these are all pure perfect movies. But well, I guess we can go down the list of like probably our all-time favorites. What about Guardians of the Galaxy? I know we talked a lot about this one, but you just can never go wrong with Guardians.
That was an all-around awesome movie. I know that one is a bit of the crowd pleaser. Like, that's the one I think nearly everybody likes. But still, it's just a fantastic movie. And the thing what was weird about me seeing it was when I saw it, I walked out like, oh, I liked it. It was good. But that's about it. And then the more I thought about it and the more it like sank in with me, the more I realized I liked it a lot more. And I saw it again. And it was so much better the second time I saw it. It was kind of weird because usually I can walk out of a movie and know how I feel right away. But that one I had to watch it twice. And it's just, I don't really know what more can be said than what we've already said about it. Just because it's just kind of like the thing that Marvel did. I can't really compare it to the comic. I guess this says a lot about the movie. Like, usually a movie should, this might sound bad, but usually a movie should make you want to go out and pick up the comic or read the source material. The thing is, I kind of like that movie so much, I don't want to read the source material because I don't want it to like ruin the movie for me. You know what I mean?
You don't want to be like a ghostwriter. Well, let's just say for some reason you just love the hell out of the Nicolas Cage ghostwriter. I know that sounds like that's a stretch of the imagination, but go with me on it.
Really,
like, what if you just read that? You're like, man, that ghostwriter movie was so fucking awesome, so fucking awesome. Then you read the comics and you're like, oh. No, that movie actually is nowhere near as cool as this comic book.
Well, I know the one thing I do know is that like Yondu, the space hillbilly, in the comic he looks more like he's an Arabian Nights kind of guy. That's what he looks like. He doesn't have the space hillbilly thing. He has a bow and arrow that he's pretty good with, and he can whistle, but he looks way different. And I already kind of maybe that's not enough to kill it for me, but I really like Yondu the way he is in the movie. So that right there, I think I'm kind of more interested. I'm kind of fine with what they got.
No, yeah. I just think that movie, it was the perfect balance of action, sci-fi, comedy, and just plain storytelling.
I think it's also...
It just hit every level as best as you could. It reminds me of, like, what I think why, like, Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade is so good is because it's got fantastic action, an amazing story, and to top it off, it's got good comedy, and it doesn't feel out of place.
I think it was one of those things, like, the comedy in it was a situation where, it does actually have a vibe of like an 80s action adventure movie to where it's lighthearted, but the parts that are like sad are genuinely sad. Like the very beginning, because they had a perfect tone switch, because the very beginning, there is that scene when his mother dies of cancer. Mm-hmm. And I think nearly every superhero movie has that scene where the parent's dead or we're supposed to be sad for him. Mm-hmm. And I think it kind of feels like an autopilot, like, I've seen this enough. That there, that part did feel genuinely sad to me. I think the way it's shot, and even like when the kid's screaming, I know the camera's kind of shaking a little bit, the angles they had it out felt like that much more like out of his control. And the fact that how like quickly they're able to switch it to like a fun, upbeat pace and not really feel...
And not feel jerky or jagged like it was this hard cut.
Yeah.
It's just so timed so right, you know? And I feel it's a movie, even though it's got like a flair superhero-ness to it, it's not so superhero-y that you could show it to somebody who maybe didn't even care that much for like, regular superhero stuff, and they didn't like Avengers, and they didn't really like Batman or Superman. You could go like, well, look at this one. It's a little bit superhero, but it's almost more sci-fi, if anything. But kind of in that Star Wars tone. That's almost how it kind of feels.
Well, I think it's kind of like, because something about Star Wars, I love Star Wars. That's one of my favorite movies. Like a lot of people, it's one of their favorite movies.
Yeah.
But Star Wars takes itself very seriously. And this movie doesn't take itself too seriously, but the parts where it needs to, it does.
Yeah. Well, then at the same time, it's not slapsticky where it's making the source material look like a joke.
Yeah.
And I think with that balance, because that's one of those ones, like, that's the thing about comedy. And give or take on how you like some of these other Marvel movies, I feel like sometimes that's always the make or break thing with those, the Disney's Marvel movies, I guess you could say, the Marvel Studios ones, is that sometimes I think they let the comedy go a little too far. And I understand, like, because they kind of almost like, DC's always been the very serious. If you laugh, it's almost like maybe an unintentional like joke in some of their movies.
Or just a dark joke even.
Or a dark joke,
like the pencil joke.
Yeah, exactly. But the Marvel ones, sometimes they just go, they want to keep it a little bit lighter, they want to keep it a little bit fun, and I don't know, I love my comedy, but sometimes, as I feel about kind of Robert Downey Jr. and the Avengers as Iron Man, it's almost like he's got too many jokes in it.
That's how I feel.
Where they feel like it's almost like pulling me out of the movie. It's like you got this real serious thing going on, and this guy almost like cares not at all about it. Maybe that's what that's obviously probably what they're going for with the character, but like to the point where it's like, okay, like at least when I was a kid, the way I pictured Iron Man is he wasn't like he didn't give a flying fuck about everybody else. He kind of like, and he wasn't joking left and right, but.
I think it's one of those things. I'll say this regarding because this can lead into probably another movie that's on my top 5. 2 of my top 5 have Chris Evans in it.
But, I know, I agree too.
Something that I gotta say though, because I actually I think I liked Winter Soldier more than I liked Guardians. Guardians is still like an amazing movie, and I don't really think that Winter Soldier is really a better movie. I just happen to like it more. It's a personal preference.
I agree. I agree that those movies are about, like, I'd say they're practically on par. I think Guardians just kind of, like, I already knew Captain America was probably going to be pretty darn good. It's Captain. You can't go.
You get that little unexpected surprise.
With the Galaxy, it's like I didn't know what really to expect out of it. It's just like, well, let's just see what this is, and I think that makes me almost like it just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Where Captain, like, even though it turned out to be like an extremely good Marvel movie. Probably the best one I remember when that one came out, I was like, they finally got the format right. They got it down perfect.
Well, if you actually look at the Marvel movies, the only ones that are kind of like action comedies, because, all right, Captain America is what it is.
It's got
it's a little bit of comedy.
It's got the comedy.
It's a perfect balance.
It's not. Yeah, it's not too over the top.
I think the first one, it was still like, it wasn't so much. It was like the comedy. I mean, I still really like the first one a lot, but I mean, I think the last 10 minutes when they get the final battle, I think that seemed a little too kind of cliche right there, the way they were going about it. It just seemed kind of like, where's Hydra? Oh, they're right over here. Okay, cool. And everything just kind of happens right there. Like, you done this earlier? No, I didn't feel like it. But, and the kiss right before he gets on the plane with the girl. But it's still a good movie. But the thing, but by number 2, though, I think they have that all ironed out. And if you kind of look at the Marvel films, it's like Iron Man, that's their action comedy. Mm-hmm. Guardians of the Galaxy is a little bit of an action comedy, but I think that it's more placed. Like Iron Man, it feels more kind of like a buddy cop film, or like, not buddy cop exactly, maybe kind of like a Lethal Weapon or a Rush Hour kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of, they're not saying that just because Shane Black directed it, but it feels a little bit more something to that effect. And then I think Incredible Hulk, that one wasn't really that funny. That one was very much its own, like, was very much just a chase film that took itself pretty seriously. And then Avengers, I think it can help but be a little funny just because Iron Man was in it, you know?
Yeah, and I think that he kind of just, he's supposed to be the funny character. Hold on, I'm going to move this really quickly.
If you look back on that movie, there isn't nearly as much comedy without Robert Downey Jr. is the one spitting most of the funny lines in it. There's still some funny stuff.
If you want to like move, so we're just gonna rearrange the furniture really quickly. The battery looked like it was getting a little bit low.
Like, it's one of those things like Avengers. Rewatching that movie, the comedy isn't there as much without Robert Downey Jr. It's primarily him making that movie funny. And I still think Guardians is an action comedy. Just it's a little bit more well balanced and like it doesn't really kill the momentum like Iron Man does.
Yeah, exactly.
Because even though I like Iron Man 3, there are moments where the comedy just kind of kills like the more emotional scenes. Like his ex-girlfriend dies, and it's kind of a dark, serious scene. Like, oh shit, and then literally 2 minutes later, it's like, oh, we're cracking jokes again, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I thought, well, we can just walk right into Captain America 2. Captain America 2, it got the balance down perfectly. I mean, the movie flowed so well. They had the action timed out, and the comedy was at the right level where there was still enough comedy, but not so much that almost you felt like you're watching an action comedy, because that's kind of how I felt about a lot of, like, you know, Iron Man. The Avengers kind of even has that feel, too, where it's almost like an action comedy. It's a half-half movie. Captain America still keeps it. You're watching a serious story movie, but then they have some lines, but they're in the right place. Mm-hmm. And just everything about that one too. It just, you had the Winter Soldier storyline. It's a great one, going for it. They had Falcon in there. He's a really good character. And then they give Nick Fury a lot more role in the movie.
And even though we kind of have this a lot, where it's kind of like the best friends forced to fight each other, the way they did the thing with Bucky, I know a lot of people say this is cheesy, but for me, as a Captain America fan, it was just as cheesy as this line even sounds. I thought they just shot it well. When Bucky's just smacking the shit out of him when the helicarrier is going down, and he says, you're my friend and you're my target, and he's just he doesn't want to. He's kind of confused. His programming's getting rewired, and it's just little scenes like that. And then he can't bring himself to do it after a while. Even the scenes when there was when he went to go see Agent Carter and she had Alzheimer's. It's just, it's nice, he's catching up with her. Then she's like, Steve, you're back. How did you? And he just has this look on his face oh, I knew this was coming. And he's like, hi. It's just fuck, man. You know?
Sort of the downfall of Steve Rogers, at least in his own world, is the fact that he has these new friends, but he doesn't have any of his old friends left. And they're all either dead or too old to know what's going on. So that kind of world that he lives in, it's he's buddies with Thor and Iron Man and Hawkeye and shit.
But they're known from his
time.
But
they're almost you can't really relate to him as much.
That's what makes Iron Man one of my favorite. Not Iron Man. Where did that come from? Captain America. One of my favorite characters is because he is kind of the very noble. He's very noble character, and he does kind of follow those old American values, but not to a old angry grandpa kind of way.
Because he's still young, so he doesn't have that bitter fuckness in him.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing I like about Captain America so much. And he has these righteous values, but he even had them before he had those powers. He's willing to jump on a grenade for somebody before he even had those powers. Yeah. So you can't help but love that guy.
But the Bucky thing, I think what makes that storyline so good is it's this literally is the last guy that he has a true connection with in the entire world. Because once again, none of these other people he gets along with them. But they're still they're
not Bucky.
They're not his generation. He'll never have that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's sort of when we meet people that are younger than us. It's just if they don't have that relatable '90s thing to them, then you just kind of realize they're good people and all, but they'll just never be that one connection right there.
He just sees Thor. He's you're not Bucky.
Yeah. He's probably if anything, Thor's probably more relatable than everybody else. At least he's somewhat old worldy.
Yeah, at least he comes in, or he just comes in this guy's kind of man out of time too, or man out of world. So really,
yeah, he's sort of relatable.
He's kind of confused too when it comes to references that people make.
Yeah. But no, I think that Captain America 2 just it gets it down so well. Mm-hmm. I can't wait for the third Captain America.
Hopefully they keep up this good streak by the time Avengers 2.
I know. So we got thousands of movies to look forward to this year. This is literally the year of fantastic movies. We're gonna take a quick break right here, but now a word from our buddies at Paint It Black Podcast. Take a listen.
I'm Pete. That's Brian. Yeah. There's Lou. We are Paint It Black Podcast. We are Paint It Black Comics.
If you could describe the show, what would you describe it?
Horribly offensive.
Balls to the walls.
A good time.
I don't know. Unprofessional. I wouldn't be surprised if fucking Barney heard some screaming from next door.
Right. Hey, yo, Fred, I got kicked out of the house. Can I stay with you guys for a little bit?
No, Barney. We're not friends like that. You better go stay with the zoo.
Yeah. Dum-dum, you should have said yes to your wife.
Can you imagine what Disney World would have been like had he lived longer? No Jews. That's the primary difference.
Yeah. I feel like he funded the Nazis in some way. I can't prove it.
The first fucking model of their helmet had ears on it.
Oh, the Basketeers are coming over the hill. What the fuck's going on?
Dosan sounds like a Renaissance painter.
He was the fifth Ninja Turtle. He wasn't right in the head. They didn't really bring him out too much. I'd like to fight the foot.
That's probably why they had all those stupid ass toppings.
Bubble gum.
Fuck, who let those Santos to the pizza?
I want a
again?
stink bug.
Who put Legos on this shit? Can I give you money for sex?
I would enjoy making a transaction for a blowjob.
Can I get a receipt with that pussy?
Oh yeah, how do I follow this?
Do you wash those briefs with starch?
Make that booty clap. Why don't you?
Let's hear Randy Newman doing the song for Pompeii.
Oh, he's on the spot. Whoa, it's smoke. Volcano. Whoa, it's the smoke. Vesuvius.
Here's another really good one that probably won't appear on other people's top 10 list, but goddamn it if it's not one of the best movies I saw. Batman Assault on Arkham.
Oh, that was good. The first Suicide Squad movie. It's not called that, but that's basically what it is.
Yeah, it's literally the Suicide Squad movie, but, you know, and I watched that one about 3 or 4 times. Oh, such a fucking good movie. You know, Batman's Son also came out that year, too, and that one was good, too. Or Son of Batman, I guess what it is. It's the comic books the other way around.
Yeah.
And that one was really good, but it feels like it's the first time Damien's in, like, a live action, or not live action, but a
Animated,
movie,
yeah.
animated, something or another that's not, like, a comic book. So I mean, that's cool in itself, but Suicide Squad's something that really doesn't, you know, we get a miscellaneous episode here and there, but we don't really get the Suicide Squad. And the fact that they kind of did it almost like it was like a Guy Ritchie picture.
And it was kind of like the dark, down and dirty DC movie, and I kind of liked how, because one of the reasons you like superhero stuff is because you get to see these kind of, these very heroic, righteous characters. It's kind of cool to see the bad guys of those world and focus on it from them, and just see it kind of unfold like a heist movie and see things go kind of bad here and there.
Well, I like how like just people just keep dying along the way, which kind of is mind blowing because you don't really generally get that too often in superhero stuff.
Yeah, when like when King Shark dies, I was actually surprised because I was like, oh, they're gonna keep him around for like the next one or potential sequels or whatever. I'm like, oh shit, King Shark's head just blew up.
Yeah, KGB Beast dies in the very beginning.
I thought KGB was more of a joke character, so I was like, okay, that's. I didn't know he's going to be in it. He's probably out of it pretty quickly.
They
Cause,
kill Black Spider and that.
Yeah.
Which almost like Batman sort of kind of kills him, sort of.
by accident.
But he just sort of sets him up to die. Let's just say that. I mean, he didn't know Joker was going to be there.
He just switched his
Still,
suit.
you dress up anybody who's already wounded in your costume. What do you think's going to happen to him?
That's a good point. Yeah.
That's like a ticking time bomb going out there.
And even Joker.
And where did you release him at? Arkham.
I just Joker's the line Joker has when he picks up his head like Denzel. What did they do to you? I know that's a pop culture joke, but still,
that one worked.
that's
It
actually
wasn't like
one.
they're like Freddie Prinze Jr. What'd they do to you?
Denzel's timeless.
Yeah,
Denzel's
yeah.
timeless. But
He's like the Jimmy Stewart of nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. But like he's like that's actually one where a lot of I think the Joker, no how do I say this? Joker's jokes were a little bit more actually kind of funny in like a dark way. I think they were funny in the Heath Ledger movies. A lot of times though it is just kind of like the very. I still like the Joker.
I am the Joker.
I am the Joker. You are fired. Bang. Explosion.
And they're well, because they're mostly always like old timey jokes. They're almost like he's like
Just
the
very
fourth
sadistic.
guy of the Three Stooges.
Yeah, and I think the ones where he actually is really funny, where the Joker actually his comedy does work, even though.
And not saying anything against the Three Stooges. The Three Stooges is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying sometimes he always does kind of feel like you're watching a guy perform comedy for you in 1920.
And then he just beats you with a crowbar. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I think the ones.
and then you're still laughing.
Yeah, I think the ones where he actually is funny though is like Dark Knight, Under the Red Hood, and then this one.
Yeah. And I think sometimes people they like to write the Joker is that maybe he's like
Too
jokes.
bad.
Well, I think
Too
they
bad.
almost feel like it's like almost like he doesn't tell actually funny jokes. He just kind of like isn't that good, so he just tells kind of stupid shit.
And then kills you. Which
Yeah, and then kills
that
you.
works.
So I still
that.
like that writing too. But like when he can throw a joke out there, I think that's even better.
Yeah.
But that Assault on Arkham, such a good movie. Mm-hmm. That's one I always recommend those movies higher than almost anything else. DC Universe movies because nobody fucking watches them. Sadly enough.
Yeah.
You can talk to people who say like they read the comics and all that stuff, and sometimes they still don't even know about these movies, or like they
It's
sort of heard of them,
surprising, yeah.
but they haven't watched them, which I always feel so weird. It's like,
And anytime I let someone usually
I feel like
borrow,
they're hard to go out and get.
even people who don't really read the comics, if I let them borrow one of the DC Universe movies, it's they're like, even the people who are like, I don't read the comics, I liked Dark Knight Rises or whatever, but then like, well, check this out. Like, I don't know if I'll like it. We'll just give it a shot. They usually end up walking away saying, no, that was actually really good. That was really good.
Yeah, it's just like people mostly really like him. I mean, I remember like I showed my dad like the Dark Knight Returns when I was like, he'll like this.
Here's the Batman.
My dad he liked the Batman the animated series. He likes pretty much all the live action things. He really likes the Flash now. He likes Gotham. He likes Green Arrow. Even though he doesn't watch that one as much, but so I was like, well, I wanted to show him that one, and he really enjoyed it. And I think that's how anybody is. It's like you can sit down, show it to him. I think some of them might be a little bit much because there'll be characters in there they might be kind of thrown off by.
Or I think something like Superman All-Star might be a hard one to show certain people, because how weird it is. It's good.
It's a little weird, yeah. You got to be kind of a Superman fan to watch it. I even feel something like Under the Red Hood, depending on who it is, but there is a handful of characters you might have to sit down and explain to somebody, because sometimes people don't know who Jason Todd and Dick Grayson and Nightwing Dick Grayson is. They get kind of confused when there's a bunch of Robins all at once.
You can just say there's two different Robins. That's the new one, that's the old one. And then you could just say, Black Mask, he's just another villain. You can just say that, Beyond that, I think the movie's fairly compliant. Then you say, who's that guy? That's Liam Neeson. Oh, okay.
Yeah, then they get it. But that movie, overall, damn good movie. But let's go on to another one. Oh, Tusk. We gotta say Tusk.
Oh,
Before we go any
Tusk.
farther, we gotta say Tusk.
I love Tusk. I bought that on Blu-ray. My first Blu-ray I got, actually.
I need to go out and get that one soon. I just didn't have the cash for it at the time. But that was a damn good movie. I had to drive over 2 hours to go see it, but it was so worth it.
A lot of people, here's the thing about Tusk. People that hate it, really fucking hate it. People that love it, though, really fucking love it. And the thing about the movie is something that people really don't like about it. They say it's so ridiculous, it's just not strong enough of a concept to stand on its own feet. Like, even people who do not like the movie, I mean, you get some, like, snobby assholes that just say, this is an utter waste of time. The worst movie I've ever seen. I literally saw, some snobby critic write that. But most of the critics have even the ones that don't like it, can say, look, overall, I did not like this movie. But this part, and this part, really good and really chilling. Like, I listened to the Double Toasted podcast. That's what's left of Spill.com. They unfortunately did not like the movie that much. But regardless of that, they said, regardless, even though we didn't like the movie, you got to give Kevin Smith credit where it's due. The scenes between Michael Parks and Justin Long before he's in the suit and across the dinner table, that is one of the most unsettling, creepy scenes. And it sticks with you. Yeah. So, and that's like one of those things right there that like, and I'm not trying to talk shit on those guys because I like them. Everybody has their own opinion, but it is one of those movies that, like, I think it is. You gotta be. I think a lot of people don't like it when you break convention, and the movie really breaks convention, and I think that's almost a cool thing. That's what a lot of people didn't like about Red State, because people said Red State didn't seem like it knew what it wanted to do. I'm like, no, I think he did.
It knew exactly what it wanted to do.
It did know what it wanted to do. It wanted to keep people guessing and unsure, and sometimes even do not exactly this way, but kind of something like Snowpiercer in a sense, like make you think we're going over here, give you some extra information you don't need, just to throw you off for when we go this direction. Yeah. And that's the same thing Tusk did. I think Tusk...
They're progressive movies. That's what I think about Red State. I think it's a very progressive movie. Because it keeps changing these sort of like genres, but in like such a natural way. People might say that it's kind of abrupt, but I think that it feels naturally. It goes from being like, almost like a 90s like teen comedy, the next thing you know, you're in this dark horror movie because these guys get fucking captured. Almost like how Hostel is. But then in the end, it turns into this huge action movie, which is such a badass concept.
Where I think Tusk, it's a little bit more, it doesn't switch as much like that, but it's just so bizarre, and it doesn't actually go by the build-up format, in my opinion. It does just, it builds up, like, in a sense of, like, it gets fucking weirder as it goes on. But I don't think you can see something everybody else says about it, though. Well, you haven't seen a movie like it before. Whether you love it or hate it,
that's what I say. It's definitely one of those movies, I couldn't recommend it like a Guardians of the Galaxy to anybody. It's definitely for the right person, but I think for the right people, and like I know that we like it a lot, it's like if you're gonna like it, you'll like it 100%.
And I think it has just enough gore, enough horror. It's not so much because I'm not somebody.
Yeah, it doesn't have very much gore in it.
I'm not somebody who needs a lot of gore depending on what. I don't really mind gore depending on what it is. I don't like earlier I was talking about how cool it was in Sabotage, and that one dude was hanging from the ceiling with his organs out. but I don't really like long, drawn-on torture scenes. You know, if it happens real quick and it's there, oh, cool. But if it's like long, drawn-out torture scenes, like a dude getting sewed into a walrus suit, I don't really need to see that. So I was a little nervous about that going in. But it was Kevin Smith, so I was willing to give it a shot. But I saw that they use it in all the right moments. And more than anything, it's just what kind of really sticks with me is the really unsettling scenes between Michael Parks and like Justin Long, and then when he's actually in the suit, and just like when he says like the walrus needs to learn how to swim, and he pulls the chain, it drags him into the water, and he's flopping down.
And I just love parts where Michael Parks just like leaning back on him like he's a sofa,
and he's singing "Oh Wally, Wally" when he does it. Yeah.
It's just it's not a movie for anybody, but it's still like if you can come with an open mind and you can really enjoy something you've never seen before, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think as podcasters, it's almost like it's the first kind of movie where like podcasting is almost like a big part of a movie, not just like maybe a one-liner here and there.
It's actually about, even if you listen to Kevin Smith podcast a lot, just there's characters and things from podcasts in there. Like the guy LaPointe character, the Johnny Depp character, that's a character that's been in several episodes of Smodcast, just like as this character that comes. So that's just kind of cool for a fan.
So there's a lot of nods, you know. But overall, I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
You know what sounds weird? I was actually thinking about this the other day. You know that episode of South Park where Kyle's dad wants to become a dolphin?
Remind you of
and
Tusk?
I forgot about that. I was like, oh fuck, that actually is that's actually really similar to Tusk. I mean, a little bit
looks
more comedy
freaking creepy,
but they
too.
make him look really creepy. It's actually very similar, almost in the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I forgot about that till I think just the other day. I was like, oh, dude, that actually was like Tusk.
Yeah.
But well, you go. I've been naming off a bunch of movies here. I know they're all pretty much the same.
Hand me
movies
your
as us.
list.
Yeah, look at my
I kind of
list.
forgot.
Some of those movies on there, like I wrote down.
Guardian Lego.
I didn't see, so don't.
Let's go back to superheroes for a second. X-Men: Days of Future Past.
Yeah, X-Men was a pretty darn good movie. You know, maybe not my. If I was gonna say top 10, I don't know. It probably would be just right off that, like maybe 11 or 12.
I really dug X-Men a lot. I mean, I don't know. I think that may have reached my top 10 because I didn't see all these movies on this list right here. But it would definitely reach my top 10, maybe 10 or 9. But I really dug that one. It was really, it was just, I think that any problems I had with previous X-Men movies, I kind of like they went in there and said, we fixed it.
Yeah.
We fixed it. And even though they're going to make up Age of Apocalypse, which I'm looking forward to, I'm almost kind of fine if they ended it right here. Just because... Yep, they're alive again. We don't, and I think that's kind of a smart way to go about it in a sense because it just ends on this note of like, well, we've kind of fixed everything because we went back in time, and I know how silly that sounds, but they did it just right, and I think that the characters that were all there, they all had enough of like a scene or a moment.
Yeah.
That kind of all. I still want to see Colossus more front and center, not for like the leader of the movie, but just have a bigger part. I would like to see certain characters come back. But I mean, I think in this movie, because the other ones, they wouldn't really even call what you had a moment. They'd be, oh, that guy had spikes. I guess that's Quiller or whatever.
And I think it's, you know what I think the downfall is though, is there's so many X-Men characters, and you know how many can you get on screen on time and give them like their day and glory, and then but we always got to make sure we get Professor Xavier. We always got to get Wolverine. We always got to get Magneto. You know, there's a handful of characters that kind of almost
always
have
there.
to be pretty much front and center. And then everybody else, we're lucky, like, oh, there's Jubilee in the background doing homework.
Yeah, and then we just kind of like, well, how do we know that's Jubilee? Well,
it's in the credits.
She did sparkly hands for a second. That's how we know it's Jubilee. Where in this one, it feels like everybody who was in the movie, whether they were just a side character with 2 lines, they at least had a cool fight.
Yeah, because I felt even like, you know, in the beginning,
yeah.
Bishop, Colossus, Blink, they all had a pretty good, scene. Then when we go back in time, all those characters, Magneto, Professor Xavier, Beast, Wolverine the whole way through. But everybody sort of gets their own spotlight, you could say. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel... There's not too many... I don't even know if there is any characters in there that are just kind of like there in the background, like, oh, there he is.
Maybe they may have said 1 or 2 lines, but at least they were there for a cool fight.
Yeah,
scene.
you could...
Even Iceman, who only had like 2 or 3 lines in the movie, was there doing like some pretty cool
he was
fights.
doing some pretty cool stuff. So yeah, I think overall, I think that one's a pretty perfect one. And then I like how it bridges just the two. You got your first class kind of oldie time thing, and then it brings it up with like the modern.
I'm a little worried about Age of Apocalypse though, because they said that like they're still going to do some time travel shit with that, which I know there is time travel involved with Days of Future Past, or with Age of Apocalypse, but they're bringing in like Fassbender again, so it's just kind of like.
Well, I feel like somehow
that might be pushing it right there.
Well, yeah, I
don't know my X-Men like you do.
Well, I don't know if they have this weird thing where they're like, well, maybe we got to kind of get these guys. We like people seem to like the old X-Men or like the oldie time X-Men characters and our like original X-Men story characters. So how do we get them both in there once again? Which I feel like what they could probably do is they should split it up like how they've done before and do like the Age of Apocalypse and let's just go back to our old X-Men universe. You know, let's get away from like the First Class universe.
Even though I love First Class.
Oh, don't get me wrong, yeah, I love First Class too. But then after Age of Apocalypse, let's go back and maybe we'll do like an early 80s X-Men story where Professor Xavier's getting Cyclops and all the other characters, you know, when they're like in their teens.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that yet. So then you can kind of bring in the Michael Fassbender and all the other guys once again.
Give a what's his name?
Yeah, like
the good looking dude who plays what's his name? James McAvoy. Give him make him start to go bald, make him look really awkward.
But yeah, just that'd be the thing is just do like an 80s X-Men movie, and what it is, it's about let's just say the first X-Men in a sense. You know that's what First Class is, but like the ones we all know and love. So we got Cyclops, Jean, Beast. Yeah, Angel they kind of did him differently in 3, so he's kind of there.
He's not there.
And Iceman they did a younger version of him. But let's just say Storm, all the ones they kept movie wise, not necessarily comic wise. You know, so we have Storm, Jean, Cyclops, Beast. And
probably some other characters just aren't in the...
and then some ones that haven't got their spotlight yet.
Well, here's the thing about X-Men now. Now they can do whatever they want. Whatever character died off and the other ones, he could just be back there, with the exception of First Class, because we're dead in First Class. But these characters can just be back. And we don't need to explain why, how they got there. Nightcrawler can just be there. We don't got to explain why. Psylocke, who was there in the background in number 3, had to be one line, can suddenly have an actual part in the movie, you know? So it's one of those... I'm going to be honest, I don't really know a whole lot about Psylocke. I was just really good with her in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, so I was sad to see her not even get a scene in that. But,
yeah, last time she doesn't get, you know, and I know she's somewhat of a modern character. I know, like, modern characters, and she's been around for the last 30 years.
I think is it like late 80s? She
appears in the late 80s, I think. Yeah. Mid-late. A lot of the best characters actually appear in that mid to late 80s, early 90s. Gambit, Jubilee, Psylocke,
give Gambit
Bishop,
another part, you know what I mean?
Cable.
Because they don't, I think they just...
Cable's somebody they've never had in there yet.
They're talking about Cable.
And he might, I bet you anything, he might be in this Age of Apocalypse.
Well, another thing they're trying to do, I heard they might do like an X-Force movie, which is all...
well, X-Force, what that is, that's like
the dark, like, Black Ops X-Men team, isn't it?
No, X-Force is the regular X-Men guys.
Really? Well, I thought isn't there one where it's like they have a Black Ops...
No, you might be right. I might be thinking X-Factor. Because in the 80s, like, the X-Men team, it's like Wolverine, Storm, Nightcrawler, Kitty Pryde. It's all these, like, kind of random ones. They
have rotating characters as well.
Yeah, but it's not like Cyclops.
There's Excalibur, the British division.
Yeah, the British one. But as I said, like, in the 80s, they brought kind of... I think it's either X-Factor... Maybe X-Factor's the other one. Or it's the other one. There's something else, X... And it's the original. It's Cyclops, Jean, Iceman, Beast, like those guys. Since the X-Men, like they're kind of like from about 75 on or so, or 76. Cyclops, Jean, and all those characters we kind of think of being the main X-Men characters were kind of pushed aside for all the newer guys. For literally 10 plus years.
I want to say like X-Force then, or maybe X-Factor. I want to say it's getting confusing.
It's X-Factor, X-Force. I know I'm totally confused.
I want to say there's one that's like basically the Black Ops team, and that of course has rotating characters. But I want to say I saw one that had like Deadpool, Wolverine. Maybe it was someone else dressed like Wolverine, but it was Wolverine like in dark clothing. X-23.
Oh, so that's definitely a modern comic.
But I think it's a comic where they rotate characters in and out. And then they had, like, I think maybe Psylocke and then Domino. So just kind of like all your
But that'd be pretty sweet to do. It's just, you know, make that team right there.
X-23 is a pretty big character now. They're going to, they're like, think about it. Wolverine already sells. What do you do? Hot girl Wolverine. Yeah. That's going to sell itself right there.
And then slap Hugh Jackman into every single one because we all love Hugh Jackman. You know,
can't get enough of the Hugh.
Yeah, he could be everywhere. It's like, because Wolverine's one of those characters.
Huge Jackman. You can't get enough of Huge Jackman.
Yeah, Huge Jackman. You know, he's just like the best, you know. But X-Men's one of those ones. There's 1,000 places you can go, and I'm glad that. The one thing I love about the X-Men, I'm just glad they haven't rebooted it yet.
Yeah.
They've just continued on. And even if you looked at something like First Class and go, oh, okay, hopefully that's just a prequel, not a reboot. Nope, it was just a prequel.
I mean, there's still some time. However you twist it.
Yeah, there's still some time issues, but
whatever.
But at least I'll say this: at least it's a continual series.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, let's go on to another movie before we go too far. Okay, here's another one I liked a lot. Expendables 3.
That was a good flick.
That one, and as I said, like, have you only seen it since the theaters?
I've only seen it since the theaters, yeah.
Once I started watching, I watched it a couple times when I got it on Blu-ray. I liked it even more because I I just accepted it at this point. I'm like, okay, so I know the kids are in it, so I'm just gonna accept that.
The kids, people in
once
their
I
early
accepted
30s.
the kids, these guys in their like early 30s,
Older than us.
but comparative to the other characters that are all in their early 60s,
Yeah. Well,
they're the kids.
I was looking at some of the, like, because
they literally could be the kids of all the other guys.
I was, like, looking at some of the character posters for that movie, and, like, one of them was, like, never seen a boy to do a man's job. Totally belittling the young cast they got just for this movie.
But once I accept, I just went, okay, that's who it is. I'm going to accept it. I'm not going to complain because Jason Statham didn't get as many scenes as he needed and so on, or Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't have the biggest part. Once I accept that and just accept it for a movie as is, I just love the hell out of that movie. I almost think it's practically perfect. I think it's, I don't like as much as 2, but I do think it's really damn close.
I liked it more than I liked 1, and I still liked 1.
Yeah, I like it a little bit more. I like 1, and I still really like 1.
But I need to see the 1's director's cut, though. Would you say it's better than 1's director's cut?
Yeah, I'd still say it's probably better than 1's director's cut, even though 1 still is damn good. But, I don't know. Number 3, I think it's really good. I mean, yes, I know that it doesn't have the violence that it has in the first 2. That's kind of a dilemma. But I just think this, just the story they have and the action they do have in it, they work their way around it and make a damn good movie. Mm-hmm. Just the whole way through, it's got also the perfect comedy, kind of like a Guardians does, but not too much to make you kind of throw you.
Oh, the Kelsey Graham scenes are pretty good.
Yeah, even Kelsey Graham, it's like, at first you kind of go, that seems like a strange one, but I'm like, I fucking love Frasier, so I'm like, I don't care. I know that seems like a weird thing, but like, his character works so perfect in it. And that Mel Gibson is the bad guy, oh, he does such a good job.
Even the line like, yeah, I got cancer. No, it's just bullshit. I just want to see how you reacted. Just see you're still sort of human.
Yeah, and it's just, he just did that, and the pacing of the movie is just pretty darn good. As I said, like, the first reaction you kind of get from it, you just kind of sit there and go, okay, kids, when's Statham going to show back up?
Get caught or die already.
Yeah.
So Statham and
Dolph
Terry
Lundgren,
Crews.
Terry Crews, and all the guys we like, but once I just kind of said,
Wesley
okay.
Snipes is badass in the movie.
Wesley Snipes is fantastic in it. Antonio Banderas is great in it. But once
Jet Li from his chair.
Yeah, Jet Li fucking shooting a gun and not throwing a single punch or kick.
But he was working with still, that's just a team. That's an awesome team. But Arnold and Jet Li, though.
This is my Expendables 4 movie, at least, or Expendables spin-off movie. I want to see, and this is a way to bring in other characters. I want to see the Arnold Schwarzenegger's team in Expendables. And here's my story. Because this is how you still have Stallone. Stallone gets captured in it. So that's why he's still in the movie. But
it's like Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, it's like Donkey Kong Country 2. You literally, the main character gets captured.
They trap him in a barrel.
He's trapped in a barrel by King K. Rool. And Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jet Li's team have to go and save... I almost said Donkey Kong. But have to go and save Stallone.
And to keep it like modern with the younger crowd, even though he's not a big action guy, the guy that played Hank from Breaking Bad can play King K. Rool in this case.
But here's the thing, is because the only downfall of Expendables now is we've gotten such a huge cast that it's almost going to be hard to add in other people into Expendables because we're going to have to minus people out. Mm-hmm. But if we do sort of a spin-off story, now we can kind of minus, like, and I know this can be seen weird, but let's just minus back Statham and Terry Crews and Stallone's team. For some reason it's weird. Stallone's team's not the one rescuing Stallone. Maybe they're all captured too. Maybe everybody's captured for some reason.
All in barrels.
Like, yeah, all in barrels. So here we go. Now we can have new characters. We got Arnold. We got Jet Li. Now these guys are going to get, starring roles finally.
Maybe Statham, just let Statham.
Yeah, maybe Statham stays in there. But okay, Carl Weathers. Got to throw fucking Carl Weathers in there.
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel. There's
Tony Jaa.
Tony Jaa.
Maybe he can be part of the bad guy team, so give Jet Li someone to fight.
Yeah, maybe Jet Li has somebody to fight. Even better. So now we've already kind of rounded out our cast. We still got some room here, too. Maybe Jackie Chan. Maybe Jackie Chan and Tony Jaa are the bad guys. Mm-hmm. But, what are we looking at?
I don't know.
No, okay. But, so that's the thing. That's how we can add some new characters in there. You know what the other guy I'd like to see? I'm drawing a blank on his name, but you know the other black guy in Predator? And he's also in Commando. Yeah. And he's also in, well, you've never seen the Mel Gibson's Payback, but But that
I know
guy,
you're
I'd love to
talking
see that guy in there too, because
The guy's always shaven, right?
yeah, he's always shaven. He's just like really dark, and he's always got a shaved head. He's always just kind of angry, but he's such a good actor. But that might be the thing is now we can start to add in some fucking put Hulk Hogan in there. I'm gonna keep saying that to the day I die, but still, that would be the easy way to add into it. But whatever. Expendables 3. That's what we're really
Rock's
talking about
the main
here.
bad guy.
The Rock.
This is the main bad guy.
That'd be another badass thing. We need to put The Rock in there too. Maybe he's fucking King K. Rool.
With Hank from Breaking Bad.
Exactly. Yeah. And Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jet Li have to jump on his head a bunch of times. Just watching Arnold Schwarzenegger doing like flips and landing on his head. I guess Jet Li would have to grow long hair so he could spin around unless he's like Dixie.
Yeah, originally we were laying on Expendables. We kind of end up just making like the movie adaptation Donkey Kong 2.
It's a tie-in with Expendables. It's a weird combination.
Don't ask how we landed here.
But no, Expendables 3, I really enjoyed it. And as I said, the more I watched it, once I kind of just accepted what it is, I think that's my second favorite movie right after Snowpiercer. I like it that much.
I thought it was really good. I don't know if I like that much, but it's still probably it's still within my. I don't know if it's in my top 10. Maybe that's like 11 for me. But I still
it's your like the breaching point.
But I only seen it once though. So, but then again though, keep in mind I've only seen it. Like what was I gonna say? I've only seen that one once, and on top of that, that's not by any means a slant against that movie saying it's not on the top 10. Because there's a lot of good movies that came out this year.
And I think it's one of those ones. When you watch it again and you've already kind of accepted for what it is, the kids are going to be in there, then it just becomes a pretty good movie. And then the director's cut it adds like 5 minutes of just a little bit extra scenes. I think they just kind of extended some of the action.
Is there more murder?
Not really more violence if that's what you're looking for. Like I was kind of I was literally expecting it to turn it into Expendables 1 or 2 violence, but it doesn't. But I accept it for what it was, and I love the hell out of it. But yeah, damn good movie. Oh, another one. This is the big one. Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
That was really good.
Or no, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Sorry.
No, I get it mixed up too. But no, that one was really good too. I really dug that one.
And I just watched that one again, and I haven't seen it since theaters. But such a perfect movie. And it's really actually because the second time I watched it, it's kind of simple. It takes place between kind of like fucking Lost World, Muir Woods area, and then just like right there in San Francisco. And it's just this kind of like back and forth feuding of that areas and stuff, but that's all it needs to be. It's just that kind of like the simple story of just these apes are living here. They're kind of threatened by the humans. They end up taking action, and then ape kind of betrays ape, causing this war for what's going to make the third one.
Even though I think Koba was kind of like a mustache twirler, I still liked that character.
I know
he was scary, and plus even the shot of him. Everyone talks about the shot of him on the horse and machine gun. That's a fantastic shot.
Oh, you mean the double gun part?
Yeah.
Oh, so badass! I want that. I want like a giant statue of that in my house.
Or even the side that aside, which
might
is
scare
awesome.
That might probably scare you in the middle of the night. You turn the lights off. You just got this giant ape right there on a horse.
Well, just even the shot of just kind of like when he's like trying. I kind of like that part because he just looks evil. You can tell he's the evil ape. But when he goes in there and starts acting all kind of silly, like the soldiers come in there, they're pointing the gun. What are you doing? He looks at them, just like has a scary face. Then just like sticks his tongue out, starts making silly ape stuff like ooh, just acts all like silly and stupid.
Because how smart he is.
And slaps right next to him like how lovable he is. And then all of a sudden like he just turns around like just like playing with the gun, turns around, just unloads on him, then points at the other guy, and then just right before he unloads on him, just smirks like yeah, I was planning this.
Yeah,
bang. That like just this grin, just that shot with just a single gun, a single hand pointing the machine gun at him. I mean, that whole movie was just all around good.
Well, you could kind of say the Koba character is like a somewhat stereotypical bad guy because we've seen that kind of character before.
But he's a monkey.
But
that's the thing.
I think the thing about it though is like he's a chimp, and he was a guy that all he knows is his entire life was he was just experimented on and tortured and cut open. Mm-hmm. He knows that's all he knows from what happened. So he does that. He just knows the evil of what man does.
And it's one of those things I think that. Even though I think it's trying to show there's evil on both sides, you kind of understand how he gets there, but at the same time, you don't really have a lot of sympathy for him because how far he goes. Because sometimes, every once in a while, you'll hear the filmmaker talk about, like, I'm going to go to a movie that came out a few years ago. Still a great movie, but the Star Trek, the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek, he's like, now what I was trying to show with, like, Nero here is he was a good man. He's just misunderstood, and he did horrible things in order to achieve. He's not really a bad guy deep down. Like, no, he blew up a whole fucking planet. Whatever sympathy I've had for him is gone.
Yeah, you blew up a planet. That's going a little bit far.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I still like that character. I still think that's a alright character. But when people say, you have sympathy for him. Not by that point. But Copa is one of those characters, you have sympathy for him for a little while, but it's not one of those things where it feels like forced or anything. Because you can kind of tell he's just like a ticking time. You can just tell he's like a ticking time bomb. You're just waiting for shit to go bad with him. You knew it when you first saw him in the rise of Planet of the Apes.
You already knew that he was going to be a bad guy.
I thought he was going to like just flip. And I thought, when I first saw him, I just, he has a scar. I just assumed he was going to, that's how you know. I just assumed he was going to turn and try and fight Caesar by the end of Planet of the Apes 1, or Rise of Planet. I just assumed then. I was like, oh, it's probably going to happen in the next one then. Sure enough, it did.
Sure enough, it does.
But it's just, that was just a great movie. I just totally dug it.
It's so good. Just perfect storytelling, perfect pace. And I just love how it just sets you up for like the Planet of the Apes world. Mm-hmm. And that's one of those movies I'm so looking forward to the next one, the third one, I guess you'd say, in the modern series of this.
And another thing with that movie is, when you think back on it, when we said this when we first saw the movie, but when you think back on that movie, it's got to look so ridiculous, like the script, because the apes are speaking in sign language.
It's practically a foreign picture if you think about it. Because
for a quarter of the movie,
mostly everything's subtitled.
Because they're speaking foreign language. Well, not foreign language, in sign language.
Which I will say this: have you ever seen pretty much a movie where people are speaking in sign language that much?
No,
I never have.
No, so maybe some art picture, but nothing beyond that.
Yeah.
And then and then when they are speaking, it's all in broken English. And to think someone had to write that, going to producer now. You're Fox, I know what you're going to say, but just give it a shot. And that's one of those things right there. It actually panned out really good, because that had to look so stupid. I'm not saying it was,
but
it had
if you probably look at the script, it probably,
Copa mad. Copa no like Caesar no more, But when you actually watch the movie, though, the way they animate the apes and the emphasis they have on certain words, and just I think one part that made me laugh, but at the same time I thought it was a really effective scene, was the part when he says, let them do their human work. He does it in sign language. Then Koba says, human work? Then he just, points at, a scar in his hand, human work? Points at another, part, somewhere. He just points at, different scars.
His chest or something, human work.
Human work gets progressive, then he just points at the huge scar across his face. It's human work! That part's effective right there.
It's almost like you could say, because of that cliche saying of less is more, almost like the word, because since they only pick certain words to say, those words are so powerful. Mm-hmm. And that's all they need. And I think that's really good about it, too. It goes to show that you almost don't need sophisticated dialogue to make a very sophisticated movie.
To get the point across, yeah. It is a very simple plot, but it's a very...
it's a simple plot. It's not something we haven't seen before, but...
It's like simplicity.
I haven't seen it with that many years before.
Yeah.
One thing, my second time watching it, this is what I was thinking. Where's the monkeys and stuff in that movie? You got chimpanzees, you got orangutans, you got gorillas.
Probably just jerking off on the other side of Muir Woods.
What did they do? Was that the first thing they ate? Was we will eat the little ones.
Well, there was the monkeys, kind of a subclass even to the apes in the originals. They didn't like being called monkeys.
In the original ones, I don't remember them having monkeys either.
Well, there they say, don't call us monkeys.
Well, they get offended. They get offended to the term monkey. So, yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah.
So maybe they did. They're we ate the monkey at first.
Or maybe the monkeys weren't there, because I don't remember even seeing any monkeys in the other one. I remember they all were just apes.
Gorillas. They just have, gorillas, orangutans.
Chimpanzees.
But I'm just thinking in a whole, though, whatever happened to the monkeys,
I said this on the episode, we talked about it, and I still say now, it would kill the momentum of the movie. Just having the sheer balls to do this. Because the movie kind of starts off it ends the same way it starts off. It zooms out on Caesar's face, and it ends zooming in on Caesar's face. Oh, this very serious, ominous music. Cuts to black. Right there, when it cuts to black, should go like Beastie Boys, that funky monkey starts to play. Brass monkey starts that funky monkey. We kill the momentum. I really wish it ended right there.
Oh, that'd be
just
hilarious.
Are they doing it? Brass monkey, directed by that funky monkey.
You know what's also a cool thing? I didn't know this, I guess, when I saw it in theaters, but it's written by the people that wrote the original Planet of the Apes.
Really?
Yeah, same
That's
writers,
awesome.
so that's cool to know.
Well, that's why they tell you give a shit.
Yeah. So, it's such a damn good movie. That one's probably, I'd say, my top 5 out of all my movies this year. I liked it that much.
That might be. I don't really have a set
I don't really have. I have this kind of magical in the air kind of ones. I know that Snowpiercer's at the front. One. I know that Expendables is pretty close to it. Captain America and so on.
Snowpiercer and Captain America 2 are definitely up there. But beyond that, I don't really have a set top 5, but I mean, I got a lot of them out there. Can I actually talk about one that you didn't see, or do you want to kind of just go over the ones we've both seen first?
No, I say that as I think we're out of the list of the ones we both saw pretty much.
Okay.
There's probably something else on there, but
I saw a couple movies. Did you ever see Boyhood?
I did not see Boyhood.
Boyhood was really good. That one, I mean, I talked about it a little bit on the last podcast, and earlier we were talking about movies breaking convention. 3 movies that came out this year. We talked about Tusk as one of them. Mm-hmm. The 2 other movies that did it was like Boyhood, because Boyhood, it's literally, I'm not sure if you know how this movie got made exactly.
You explained it on one of the last couple podcasts.
I'm not sure if I explained this is how it got made though, because basically Linklater told the movie studio, he didn't go to him saying, look, I want to make a movie. It's going to take me like 18 years to make it.
I think it took 12.
12 years? Oh yeah, it may took 12 years to make it, yeah. And they said they're going to say no, so what he did is he just pretended like he was making a bunch of short films, mm-hmm. and just happened to be starring the same kid and Ethan Hawke. And so this movie literally goes by each year as a certain point in this kid's life. And I don't know how much of it's autobiographical or what, yeah. But it was a movie that didn't really go in a way of being like, here's the bad guy, here's the bully, here's the mean drunk dad. I mean, you do have those, but they're not like sticking points that hang around forever.
Yeah, it's not like this is Act 2, here's the final conflict.
Yeah, it much goes just kind of like, here's just a period in this kid's life. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it seems pretty accurate. I mean, I think anybody born in the last 20 years, I think could probably relate to this movie in some way. Maybe not every way, but I mean, I get along with my dad. My parents aren't divorced, mm-hmm. but there are some obvious...
My life's pretty good. I mean, compared to this kid's life.
Well, it's not even like his life is utter shit. They don't even portray his life as utter shit. His mom's divorced. He gets along with Ethan Hawke, who's his dad in the movie. Mm-hmm. He gets along with him. Hawk. But I mean, like his stepfathers, I should have clarified. He's had multiple stepfathers in the movie. And like, one's worse than the other. But it's one of those things that kind of like, there's certain... I'm so used to watching like movies that are like I have the worst kind of mind, because here's the concept of the movie. Okay, it's showing the movie as a kid growing up. It starts when he's like 5, ends when he's like 18 or 19, right? Like on his first day of college is where the movie ends. I was almost expecting it to be kind of like this thing of like ending up in a bathroom, like doing heroin. Like, I had such dreams. I was expecting that, but it doesn't. It just kind of...
You expect it to be like that Fanboy movie, or not Fanboy, what is it? Biggest Fan.
Something kind of like that, but almost like, and then like, there'd be a part when like a couple of kids are like, when you're in high school, you're drinking alcohol at some friend's house for the first time.
And Ethan Hawke flies in.
The fuck you doing? No. Something like that. Not even comes by.
Looks like Angel from X-Men just fucking lands down.
Or just has hawk wings, just busts in through the roof. Like the one fantasy thing in the movie doesn't. They don't even act like it's a big deal. Like, Dad, what are you doing?
Like nobody questions it. Maybe one guy goes like, "You're going wings for hands." I don't know, man. I think you're taking too much of that pot.
Son, you're coming home with me. Just grabs him, flies
out of his like talons and takes off.
Next scene, it's not even them landing. They're just walking back to his house.
Just all that was like, what the fuck just happened?
That's the only time it happens in the movie.
Didn't we have this thing that like, I remember when we were thinking about like our drunk Batman characters and like diving into like their biographies, that wasn't Ethan Hawke like Batman's supposed favorite actor?
No. What happened is like,
because I know Robin's was Leo.
Kevin Bacon.
Oh no, Kevin
was
Bacon.
Batman's favorite.
What the fuck was Ethan Hawke?
Then like Superman, he says like, no, like Superman's good, but no, like Superman's like no. The Bacon's good, because Batman just referred to him as the Bacon. Then we just cut to a picture of like Kevin Bacon and just hear like some sizzling bacon noise. Bacon. And like he says like, but really, it's all about the Hawk. And he has a little shrine to like Ethan Hawke in the corner of the room.
You just hear like a Hawk sound.
Like that.
That's what it was. It was Superman. I was going like, I knew he had Ethan Hawke as somebody's favorite character.
But anyway, I forgot about that. But basically, it just kind of goes by, and there are like so many moments in this movie, like, oh, I can call that. I remember that right there. And it's a pretty, not all of that, but enough that it's all presented the way it seems fairly realistic and relatable enough. You know what I mean? It's like it's like 2 hours and like 50 minutes. So keep that in
really
mind.
fucking long. So you got to set aside some time for this movie.
I went into it just thinking like I just walked by because I heard about that movie, and then I just walked by one of the smaller movie theaters in the area. Maybe it was playing at big theaters too, but I was walking by one of the smaller movie theaters like, oh shit, it's playing.
I know for a fact it didn't play at big theaters. I'll tell you that.
In San Francisco, played some pretty big. But keep in mind, you got a lot of screens there. They're
so they can do that.
We got a bunch of screens. Here's Guardians. Oh, and here's like 3 or 4 like smaller movies in the rotation. You know what I mean? But no, like and that movie was playing. I was like, oh shit, I got to see this while I still can. So
exactly.
Good flick, really good flick. And like for instance, like I was saying, like this like the moments are like, this is where shit's gonna go really bad. 'Cause there's a part where they're drunk and like one of them just throwing like a fucking like metal like a saw blade against like a wall. They're in a house that's being constructed. Oh shit, he's gonna throw, it's gonna bounce off, hit that kid in the neck, and then that kid's gonna fall down into like a thing of spikes, and they're like in the middle of the construction. Like, it doesn't happen. No. It's just kids just drinking, hanging out in this spot. Just because I'm so used to just thinking.
Yeah, you're waiting for something bad to happen, and it's subtle.
Yeah, and like there are some more like dramatic, intense scenes. Like one of the dads an alcoholic, and parts that implies
Ethan Hawke is an alcoholic.
No, he's not. He's kind of like one of those.
One of the dads.
He's one of those. He's pretty likable.
He's got rotational dads that come in through life.
Yeah, well, Ethan Hawke's always there, but he's one of those guys who's kind of like, he wasn't a good father at the beginning. He's just like, I gotta go live my dreams, man. And then kind of like how he starts off as one of those dads.
Just flying in the clouds above.
Don't worry, my dad's always with me.
Dude, if that was the Boyhood movie, I would have been there so fast. I would have driven 2 hours like Tuss to go see that.
The poster is just of like Ethan Hawke
with his feathered arms just all the way out,
like carrying the kid,
his talon feet.
The kid like has his arms spread.
There's only like 2 parts of it that make him have a hawk. It's like he's got feathered like arms, and then he's got like talons for feet. But everything else is just the Ethan. The rest is the hawk.
So then, Interstellar was another one I saw. That was
that was another one I wanted to see.
Interstellar was good. I know we're trying to wrap this. Where are we at right now in time?
Yeah, we wrap it up. You tell about 1 more, 2 more. I'll tell about 1 or 2 more.
Okay, Interstellar was good. Really long. It was very 2001 Space Odyssey-ish. You can tell he had a real boner for that. Even the robots in the movie
had boners.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I'm sure there's a fan fiction somewhere. People say this movie was too long. It could have been a little shorter, but it was still...
What was it, 240?
It was like 245. Yeah, but it was still a good movie, and I honestly didn't expect... It kind of went like more supernatural than I expected it would. I thought it would be more of like something to the lines of like... totally plausible, but it does go into some things that I'm pretty sure won't happen, but still kind of deep. It was cool. I liked it, and worth checking out. Make sure you got some time before you check it out. Another movie I saw.
Did that come out on Blu-ray yet?
I think it's gonna come out soon.
Okay, I didn't think it came out yet. It was one of those ones I was really trying to see before I finished this list or whatever of movies before this podcast, but I just didn't get around to it.
Another movie, I saw Birdman. I talked about that one. That one's really good. Check that one out. It's basically the best way I can think of to sum it up is dark comedy version of Black Swan. Mm-hmm. And then another one, which I didn't talk about yet, and was pretty good, was actually Big Eyes, the new Tim Burton movie.
Was that live action?
Yeah,
I don't think I heard about this movie.
You would not really assume it'd be a Tim Burton movie. Pretty much it's about, I forget the name of the lady who did it, but basically I kind of heard, this is one of those stories I heard about here and there, but then I was watching the movie, it's about this. You would not assume you're watching a Tim Burton movie. It stars Amy Adams and Christoph Waltz, and it's about that case where there's the lady who drew, it's before anime, like in the 60s, the lady who drew children with huge eyes.
Uh-huh.
And she kind of like, young single mother, kind of moves away from Northern California down to San Francisco, trying to make it big. She meets the Christoph Waltz character.
She meets a Christoph Waltz.
Chris meets him. Yeah.
He's a time traveler.
He traveled from Inglourious Bastards,
Or he
retired.
Or he could travel from the past from Django, and somehow, some way, he didn't die. He actually just woke up. He woke up and everybody else was dead around him, and he just kind of stumbled out.
Oh, fuck. That was some party at Leo's. I started it, granted, but whatever.
Yeah.
He changed his values by the time he went to Wild West times. I made some mistakes. But no, anyway.
I made some mistakes. I've become the Jew hunter now.
So in this one though, basically he starts off as this kind of like he's a painter too, and he's into real estate. But what ends up happening is they end up meeting each other. They get married. It's all kind of like a dream relationship for a little while, and then her paintings start to sell. People start to like their paintings, but he starts to say, well, I have a very charming personality. You're kind of socially awkward and very shy. How about you let me do the selling of the painting? And pretty much she gets in a situation where he is saying like, oh, check out my paintings. You know,
So he's stealing the artwork.
he's stealing the artwork, but he's making them the money. And it kind of, for a while, they're both kind of like, okay, we'll do this. And you can see he feels a little bad. But as it goes on, they get really famous. This starts to corrupt him. He becomes like an alcoholic, and it's you would not expect as being. It's one of those movies. Knowing it's a Tim Burton movie, you kind of look at it, you're like, okay, that looks kind of like a Tim Burton shot. This seems kind of Tim Burton-ish.
There's no Johnny Depp with a funny hat on.
No Johnny Depp with a funny hat. Yeah.
Does anybody have a funny hat?
Not that I remember.
Okay, at least not too funny.
There's a one part Amy Adams has funny hair, but not funny hat. So
Okay, so we got
she has like one of those funny like '60s haircuts, you know?
Okay, so yeah, well, that's. I feel like there's another Tim Burton thing. Is that kind of like '60s time period?
It does. It looks kind of like if you did
Edward
not make
Scissorhands.
it. It looks Edward Scissorhands-ish, very toned down,
Okay,
but not like is like surreal.
like cartoon cutout.
It looks much more of kind of like Real Big Fish if you minus the fantasy elements of it.
Okay.
So it's one of those movies you would not assume you're watching a Tim Burton movie. If you know you're watching a Tim Burton movie, there's certain things you may recognize, but there's no way you're gonna sit there and watch. This is Tim Burton right
I
after
think
that.
when Tim Burton makes movies, when he doesn't make them that Tim Burton style, those are always his best movies.
This is a really good movie. I mean, I'm not sure if it's like up there in my top 10. That's not to say it's not a really good movie, but it is.
Top 10 Tim Burton movies?
Well, top 10 of these of the movies this year.
Okay.
It's still really.
That was this year. That wasn't like January.
That was this year. Oh, maybe wait.
Fuck, are you talking 2015 now?
It
Fucking
was
slam
it
this
came
mic
out,
down.
Actually,
you
came out
fuck.
December.
Okay.
Stop beating me, Spencer!
Just the podcast ends with me taking my belt off and beating you.
I'm sorry. It's not my fault. I saw it January 2nd. Actually, I saw it in January, but I want to say it came out in December.
Okay.
So yeah, that was a really good one. And basically, she ends up having to prove that this is the real case. She ends up having to prove that it was her paintings by going into the courtroom and actually, because she had to sign all the rights to them, but he would continue to pester her even after they divorced and moved. So she actually ended up having to actually paint right in the courtroom, proving she could paint. That was hers.
Huh.
So I remember hearing about that case, but just watching that movie, like little bits and pieces of it, then watching the movie. Oh, that's what this movie's about. Okay.
Well, that sounds pretty good because like I said, like my favorite like Tim Burton movie I can think of is Ed Wood, and I really think that's in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. I like it that much. And then I also think of Big Fish being another one of his best movies, and it's those movies that when they don't really feel like it's a Tim Burton movie, like if nobody told you it was a Tim Burton movie, you just kind of happened to watch it.
Well, even Ed Wood still felt kind of like it was. I mean, it still
See,
felt they acted as if they were in like one of those old timey '50s movies, which is part of its charm, and I think that's really cool about it. But it was a little bit more of, but it's autobiographical. So I guess if it still feels different, but if you had to compare it to a Tim Burton movie, I guess you'd say it's a cross between Ed Wood and Big Fish.
Huh.
Because
I think
it doesn't have
two of his best ones.
Because it doesn't really. It feels a lot more realistic. But at the same time, it has a little bit of the Big Fish kind of, because it's autobiographical, not autobiographical, but it's a biographical film, and it is like doesn't really have the whimsy to it, but it's still a good movie.
Huh, that one sounds like a pretty good one. I'd like to check that one out. Mm-hmm. Well, the one movie I'll probably say on here that I know that you didn't say, and I talked to you about it, but we didn't talk about it on the podcast, but was the Noah movie.
Yeah.
That is the one you gotta fucking see. It's Darren Aronofsky, and I'd probably say one of his best flicks he's ever made.
I'll have to check that
maybe
out.
Maybe not wrestler good, but damn near close to it.
So, yeah, I like. That's the only movie of his I've not seen. I want to see that one. I love everything he puts out.
Oh, and it's just got that perfect like action storytelling. And it's got the bit of the fantasy stuff in there, because I know that for some reason bothered some Christians. Are like, fucking or rock creature things.
I heard Guy Dawsey, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, dude, what the fuck? It's like, look at all the other shit that happens in the Bible. Like, well, you can't take fucking rock creatures that are fucking angels that have been casted down from the heavens. You know, and you feel bad for these rock creatures, too, because the humans just kind of like, at first they were down there helping the humans out building shit and whatnot, and then they turned on him.
Yeah.
So they ended up murdering all the poor rock creature guys, so then...
They go right back to heaven, so they're sad.
Well, yeah, because, like, yeah, then they started helping out Noah, because Noah's, like, the last of the good people. So they're like, once they figure out that he's good and his family's good, they start helping him build the ark, and they understand, like, his mission, you know, to save all the animals. So, but once like it starts to rain and the humans get caught on to this, going like, hey, whoa, we fucking saw all these birds and fucking lizards and shit coming this direction. We knew something was going down, so we want to get on that ark too.
Yeah.
So then the rock creatures have to like defend it and whatnot, and then once they realize that when they die, it's like, oh, God has accepted us back into heaven. It's okay. Let's go full board on our way out. Fuck this rock body.
Going full angel. Fuck this shit.
But man, it was just fantastic, and it just kind of it felt like had these cool visual scenes. That was almost like the stuff that kind of reminded me sort of like a Darren Aronofsky thing. I can flip through that list, see if there's anything else on there. But that's a movie you gotta check that one out at some point if you can rent it or whatnot. As well as movies like you can own it. I can't imagine I will say it like that's nothing against. I can't imagine being a movie you'd watch over a bunch of times. It's one you watch once, you just kind of absorb it in, and then maybe watch it again a couple of years down the line.
Yeah.
But such a good movie.
That was on my list, and I feel bad I didn't see it.
Well, that was like Interstellar. There's always a handful of movies that I wanted to see. Like that's like the American Sniper movie that fucking no theater was gonna fucking show that. And I heard actually they finally put it in theaters now, which is just like, dude, it's a Clint Eastwood movie. Who the fuck doesn't?
Maybe it's very controversial. I don't know.
Yeah, I just think that they just are like, I probably won't sell that well. Don't put it up there. We got these other movies to sell. But a couple honorable mentions. Hobbit 3. I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
Thought it was really good. I really liked Dracula Untold a lot. That was actually a movie I was pretty darn impressed with. I can't wait to see where they kind of take that in their Marvel Avengers style, Justice League.
Gone Girl, honorable mention for me. I like that. I mean, I like that. It was a good flick.
Gone Girl. I didn't get to see that one. I wanted to see that one. Edge of Tomorrow, good. Not
Edge of
nearly
Tomorrow
as good as
was
the
really
other stuff
good.
on there, but I did enjoy it.
I would have talked more about that one, but that was a good flick. There's just ones like, oh yeah, not that it was bad. There's so many movies that came out this year.
There's just so many of them. I really like The Wish I Were Here. The Zach Braff movie, that was really good. Willow Creek, I don't think it was like totally the perfect movie, but I still, that Bobcat Goldthwait movie, really enjoyed that Bigfoot one. I thought it was really cool. I'm always looking very forward to him.
Gonna go super mainstream for a second. Liked it. Not amazing, but I liked it. Big Hero 6.
Oh yeah, I didn't get to see that one, but it looked like a good one. And it is probably for what it is. Even though once you told me that story of what the real like Big Hero 6 is, that sounded much cooler.
Yeah, I agree, but for what it was, I still enjoyed it.
Another movie that I was actually kind of surprised that I actually liked as much as I did was A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Didn't see that one.
I thought that was actually really funny, and I was actually really impressed with it, even better than Ted. Because Ted had its problems. I like Ted, but it had its problems. This one doesn't have any problems with it. It's just all good.
I'll have to check that out then.
So, that's pretty good. Let me just flip through my list one more time. I think I said every single one's on here, but and as always, there's always those movies out there that 5 years down the line you see a 2014 movie and you're like, fuck.
We never saw Fury.
Good.
I didn't see Fury.
Yeah, I know that was on my list for movies to watch, and it didn't come out in time on DVD. But and another one I wanted to see was Foxcatcher. But
I wanted to see that too. Yeah.
Other than that, though, we got like 10 plus big movies coming out in 2015, plus all these other ones that you probably won't even know about till you see them. So there's even more things to look forward to. But that's our list right there for 2014, our personal favorite movies of the year. Hopefully you can go out and check these, ones out and, find maybe some rarities you need to know about, like maybe Batman Assault on Arkham, because I tell people all the time, and nobody seems to watch these ones even if they read Batman comics. So there's all sorts of good gems there. But until then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
Go to oldmanorange.com for even more stuff, and we'll see you some other time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange Podcast. Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. And if you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. It won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks again, and tune in next week for more Old Man Orange Podcast.